7 Republican presidential candidates are gearing up for the second GOP debate tonight. Former President Donald Trump is skipping the event and will instead give a speech in Michigan. A new CBS News poll finds the former president far ahead of the rest of the field in Iowa and New Hampshire, the two first states that will vote in 2024. In the Hawkeye state, 51% of GOP voters said they would vote for Trump today. Half of Republican voters in the Granite State said they would vote for the former president. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis comes in a far second in both states. Before we speak with representatives of several other contenders who are here in California, let's check in first with the frontrunner who's headed to the battleground state of Michigan. CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa is in the Wolverine State and joins us now. Bob, set the scene for us there in Clinton Township. What are we expecting tonight, and who exactly is he speaking to?
Ed, it's great to be with you. We are here in a crucial battleground area and county in a crucial battleground state as 2024 looms and a possible rematch between former President Trump and President Joe Biden, who was just here yesterday to walk a picket line with United Auto Workers as they continue their strike against the big three auto companies. In the wake of that presidential visit, you now have the Republican frontrunner coming to Michigan, making his pitch to working voters, such an important group of voters ahead of 2024. Trump is speaking tonight here at a non-union facility, which irks some union members we spoke to earlier today at a picket line just a few miles down the road.
So these are expected to be Republican supporters of his, but not necessarily UAW members, right?
Oh, these are Trump supporters who are here in the room. This isn't a rally. This isn't being held at a hockey arena or in a cavernous ballroom. This is at a facility called Drake Manufacturing. It's a non-union facility. Trump's coming here to rally working voters. Some union members are here, some non-union members. Some suburban supporters from the Detroit area also coming from Macomb County. They want to hear what Trump has to say. It has the feeling of a consolidated Trump rally contained in this manufacturing company space. And we're surrounded here, Ed, and you're such a great scene setter. Well, the scene here is you have a lot of wire, a lot of machines, tools being piled up by the stage. But this is where Trump wants to come to make an overture to working voters. He needs them to turn out for him in the primaries next year to consolidate his own base, as so many of these rivals out there in California with you are looking for a breakout moment.
And when we look at those numbers in Iowa and New Hampshire, Bob, 30-point lead in Iowa, 37-point lead in New Hampshire, and the decision to skip the second debate, is that the plan going into the fall as this continues if those numbers hold up, or is there any conversation in the Trump world about possibly showing up for one of these?
Based on my conversations with Trump's advisors, he's not out. It's on a case-by-case basis. If he ever slips in the polls, I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up at a debate, especially closer to some of the early nominating contests next year. But at this time, with such a large lead in the polls, they don't feel any pressure to show up. And they believe by not showing up, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and others become the targets on stage if Trump's not there. So if Chris Christie, the former New Jersey governor, wants to take a shot at Trump, well, he's not there. Maybe he takes on another contender. That's the thinking inside Trump world here in Michigan tonight.
And he goes from Michigan. Where does he head next? There's been all this talk of possibly spending more time in Iowa. Is that in the works?
It's certainly in the works. You can expect Trump to continue to go to Iowa, to South Carolina, to New Hampshire to underscore his support in those early states, because the Trump strategy goes down to getting a big lead early on in delegates, staving off everybody else from having a chance to compete. And let's not forget, when I talk to state party chairs around the country, they say Trump has this Republican Party nationally wired. He has state party chairs and vice chairs and delegates already part of his orbit. So to build an organization for him is much easier coming in as a former incumbent president, now on the sidelines, but really not politically on the sidelines. So many of his people still hold positions of power in politics, even if they don't hold positions of power in the government.
All right, Robert Costa there in Clinton Township, suburban Detroit, awaiting the former president, who will be there later tonight. We will get a recap from you in our later editions after the Republican debate at 11 Eastern. Bob, thank you, and we'll be in touch.